5 sets of 20 today. So that automatically means that I'm feeling not too bad. I woke up today feeling like a 0.5 out of 10 sensation in the hamstring. It just, to be honest with you, it just feels like a cramp that happened yesterday. So all day today I'm walking around and work, stretching it, feeling it. Nah, I'm good, man. There's no way this is going to keep me away from bench. What I did think about a lot was the position. Why did I cramp up like that? And then I started thinking about everything, and I realized that because of my damn floor in the garage, because like every square of the concrete has a mind of its own and it's tilting its own way, I've had to put blocks underneath my bench to elevate it and prevent it from rocking back and forth. This bench from Rogue has a flat foot at the bottom. And so you can imagine that, you need a flat floor for that to work. In the position that I have it right now, there's a split in the concrete right underneath the bench. And so if you put the bench over the top of the split, you're rocking back and forth. And obviously that's not going to work. So I put the boards underneath. The reason why that's significant is because, now I've elevated the height of the floor. And that ultimately means is that I have to go into a larger hip extension while I'm benching. And why that's really important to know is that, I already have anterior pelvic tilt and I don't have unlimited range in my hip. And so when I'm benching and I'm really extending my hips, I'm basically fighting the hip flexors, and some way I think that's related to what's happening with the hamstring. The hamstring was kind of spasming back and forth, getting activated and deactivated because of the hip flexors are being stretched, and it's like a, tug of war type thing between hip flexors and the posterior chain. And so that happened. I also think the cold of my feet, with these cold nights, also have an impact. And cold feet, I tend to get cramps in my feet, but never in my hamstrings like this. So I did those two things, and I feel like they've had an impact. I really feel better today. I also changed my setup of the leg drive, so I don't really bend my knees as much because I was afraid, and so I kind of benched with a little bit more of a knee extension to it. It wasn't so much underneath. So all these things allowed me to hit another 5 sets of 20, which the upper body felt really good for. So I'm really pleased with that. I know I've read a lot of the comments, and guys are saying I should really stay off it or do Larsen press or whatever. All great suggestions, and definitely, but I just couldn't walk away without doing a few tests. Obviously, I didn't just jump into 100 kilos. I was warming up, and I did 5-6 sets before I even got to the 100 kilos, and I was just kind of like feeling it out, trying to work out if it's going to be cramping again or whatever. It felt good, although I still kind of feel the hamstring. It's not hurting or anything. It just feels kind of like shaky a bit. But I would confidently say that it's not a strain. I don't think I pulled a hamstring. In all my years of sports, I always kind of understood that in order for you to pull a muscle, you need to have it in a lengthened stage, really, right? Hamstrings pop usually when they're stretched or where there's like huge amount of force, like in a bench press setup. The hamstring is short at the knee and it's short at the hip. So it's at the shortest possible freaking part of human movement. And yet, so it all kind of leans towards a cramp rather than a pop of a hamstring, because both the knee and the hip joint are short or locked out. So that doesn't make sense, which kind of all played in my mind, and I decided to have a go at the bench. It was a wild experience. I'm glad to hear that other guys have also had this happen to them. So it's not something completely alien to the whole powerlifting community. People have had this happen. For me, it kind of freaked me out initially. I was like, okay, cool, no, it's a cramp. But then I kind of continued with another 2 sets, and by the end, it was like, it felt like I ripped the thing real bad, and it was really, really, really bothering me. But it didn't really cramp up in bed. It didn't cramp up at work, all day at work, walking around. And it felt pretty good. No strain. I reckon I could also do a deadlift maybe I wouldn't have the confidence to pull maximum weights, but it feels pretty good. I was kind of doing all sorts of stretches and movements, trying to kind of work it out. But there you go. You live and learn, and you lift and learn, and you're always kind of discovering new things when you're in the game for a little while. And I'm just glad I can continue on with this little streak that I have going with the bench press. It's feeling freaking amazing. I'm still surprised that I can recover my upper body day to day with 5 sets of 20. Yesterday, obviously, I did, a set of 25, 24, I pushed it hard. Today, 5 sets of 20 seems like a recovery day because I'm leaving more than a few reps on the table in total. But it's still heavy enough, and it produces good positions, good tension, good blood flow, good pump, which is everything that you get with sets of 20, and you don't really get that with sets of 5, 6, 7, 8. 20 is a lot of reps, man. There's a lot of blood going through there, and I reckon that in itself, when you're running 20s, it has this built-in recovery system, which is the blood flow, the 20s. So something that I try to kind of explain to people is that it's a lot different recovering from sets of 20 than sets of 5. 20 is a lot of reps, man. Whoops, sorry, I'm playing with the bench press here. The bar rolled. 20 is a lot of reps, and reps are great for recovery. It brings blood. If you were to do, let's say, this is stupid. Actually, one of you guys messaged me on Instagram about a guy that did this, but if you did 100 singles, that's not a lot of blood to the tissue, but it's a whole lot of tension. That is hell. I actually saw one of the guys, like I said, one of you lads, messaged me on Instagram with a link to this guy who did 100 singles in squats. That's frankly unbelievable, and I struggle to believe it, but there it is. There's guys out there who are doing that as well, which is insane. But blood, flow, reps, it all makes sense. So I think that's the reason why I'm able to recover so often. Obviously, I take a day off here and there, but I can probably hit another 5 sets of 20 tomorrow as well, just because there's so much flow and there's so much goodness running through, and it's kind of pumping and recovering at the same time. That's obviously an anecdote. I'm not talking about science here. This is just what I've always felt, that movement allows you to do that. It brings goodness, flow and blood. As long as you have a pump, that means you're pretty much recovering while you're doing it. So that's something that often is misunderstood. It's cardio. Yeah, and since when is cardio a bad thing? I wouldn't call it cardio because I'm getting stronger. Since when do you get strong with cardio, right? I feel like cardio is like a derogatory term in the strength community. I think it's bloody beautiful, and I'll continue to do it. Appreciate you guys. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.